Got to have a good top hand wrist roll. Our bottom hand, have to have a loose grip, so my key words I say is stick spinning in the bottom hand. Because too often the kids, they'll have their bottom hand as the controlling hand, and we can't have that because if the puck is further away from my body, my hands come together, and then you see a lot of kids when it gets close to their feet, they get all jammed up instead of sliding their bottom hand down so they can stay in balance. So engine, fuel for the engine, top hand wrist roll, loose grip bottom hand. Where do you place that bottom hand on the stick? An easy gauge is this elbow on the top hand and then grip right around there. You don't want to have that bottom hand too far down. Now the most common corrections that I make in the lessons that I give are first, improper top hand position. That's where they have the thumb on top of the stick here. We need the side of the thumb on the side of the stick. It's called a V grip. You've probably heard that before. The second one, and I've already talked about that, is the wrist roll. They chop it. There's no movement of the top hand wrist roll. So how I get them to feel what I'm saying is to hold their stick out, open up their bottom hand, and pretend that their top hand is a motorcycle throttle and you're revving it up, back, and forth. That gives them the feeling of what they need to have. And then also the bottom hand is the controlling hand spinning in the stick. You've heard of the toilet paper roll or the PVC pipe, something like that. That's a good way to get them to feel it where their top hand is the controlling hand. The biggest correction that I make is what's called top hand hip lock. And that's where their top hand is outside of their hip, outside of their body. We have to get them to get that top hand in front of their body so there's a gap in between their stomach and their hip flexor and their top hand. Otherwise, it's a very restricted placement of the hand, and if we want to move that puck into a shooting or a passing position, I first got to push my top hand out and then move the puck. So our hands got to move loose and free in front of our body. And one way that I do that is when we're doing stick handling stuff, I'll have them do, we'll start out backwards. And the first one I'll do is I'll just have them dribble in between their feet going backwards from goal line to blue line. And most of the kids will have that hand in front of their body. The other one is I'll have them going backwards with the puck on the forehand side of their body, and their hand will be away from their body. You do both of those exercises or drills forward, all of a sudden that top hand will come right here. So look for this right here. If the hand's outside of their body, try to get them to push that hand out in front of their body so they're in that proper position. Does that make sense to everyone? And I know if you look at your next practice, you're going to see a handful of kids that have that because it's very common.